Well, that was disappointing. Welcome everyone to Game Over Edmonton. My name is Peter Klein. Thank you very much for joining us late after the Edmonton Oilers fall in overtime to the Los Angeles Kings. We'll break down what went wrong, a bunch, what went right, still quite a bit, and what the Oilers can do to adjust heading into Game 3. So, a lot to break down, and we'll get to it in just a sec.
Game Over Edmonton is broadcasting from the Game Over Network channel for the playoffs, but come 2024 in October, we're relaunching with our own channel. So for all of your Edmonton Oilers news, analysis, and fun, make sure you open the Game Over Network channel from this video, scroll past my ugly mug, and head on down to the Game Over Edmonton channel from our featured channels area. Click subscribe and make sure you ring that reminder bell to make sure that you get notified whenever we post something or go live. Tell all your Oilers fan friends and family to come join our amazing community. You won't regret it. And on this video, smash that like button right into oblivion.
So, an absolute heartbreaker for the Edmonton Oilers, falling to the Los Angeles Kings in Game 2 of their Western Conference quarterfinal. Welcome back, my name's Peter Klein. Let's get right into it. Anze Kopitar gets the overtime winner for a line that, if anyone was going to score in this game, in this overtime anyway, to seal the deal, it was going to be that one. That was a line that was giving the Oilers problems all evening and was a real thorn in the side right from the word go. And I think it's noteworthy that Kopitar starts the game with a nice read on a steal in the neutral zone that sets up a goal, and then closes the game with a nice play to call game on this one. And for Edmonton, this is going to feel like a real missed opportunity because I thought in stretches it looked like they had this game, and in other stretches it looked like they didn't really take it seriously. But you still thought going into this overtime, Edmonton's built the momentum. They have come back to tie this game up. The pace is starting to play in a range that they're a little bit more comfortable with than what was going on throughout that game. And so you thought going in that this was going to be McDavid's going to do something awesome. He's going to drive in, do a backflip over Doughty, and put the puck in the net, and the game's going to be over. And then they get an ozone face-off off of a Arvidsson intentional offside, and you get the look you're kind of looking for. You get Bouchard face-off win. The forward is expecting a one-timer pass and kind of overcommits, so Bouchard has quite the lane to shoot through, puts it toward the net, it's deflected, stopped, rebound right to Hyman, and his shot, instead of going into the net that's open, goes into the skate that's blocking it, and then back the other way it comes, and Kopitar is right there for the winner. And so it is really unfortunate from an Edmonton standpoint, because I thought overall they were probably the better team in this game. I thought for large stretches, to give the Kings credit, I thought for large stretches of this game, LA came out and dictated the pace. But I thought as the game went along, more and more it was tilting in Edmonton's favor. And some weird bounces went against Edmonton, both into their net and inexplicably out of the LA one. That scramble in front, after it hits the shin pad of Anderson laying in the crease, I have no idea where that puck ended up, or how one of 5 Kings in the crease didn't cover it up for a penalty shot or anything like that. So just a real frustrating game. And I think that Knobloch and company are going to have, I think, a pretty easy message going into Game 3. It's just making sure, like, hand out watches to everyone, like, hey, just so you guys know, like, 8:30 Mountain Time's the next game. So set your watches, just because this game we didn't start on time. So we just want to make sure everybody here knows what time puck drop is going into Game 3, because some of y'all seemed confused. That was a horrendous start from the Edmonton Oilers. And I came on here after Game 1 and talked about how convincing a victory that was for Edmonton. And on my own podcast that I do aside from this, called Couch Potato Diary, I was talking about how LA doesn't really have a hope here. Like, Edmonton is just so much better than they are. And it's okay for me to think that. You know, analysts coming on here talking about what I see. It's not okay for them to think that. And the Oilers started this game like they thought that. Like they thought that they kind of just by showing up, they were going to win this hockey game. And the LA Kings came out and just smacked him in the mouth a couple of times. Like I said, Bouchard a little bit sleepy, passes it up. Kopitar the steal. As David mentioned, he is still going strong in his mid to late 30s. He gets the steal, sets up Kempe, who's got a gosh darn laser beam for a shot, and he was able to put that one in and give the Kings the lead. And like you would get some spurts. I thought the third line was pretty good at kind of waking Edmonton up in this game, but still the Kings controlled a lot of how this game was played. And that was, I thought, the big key early on is Edmonton was sleepy, and it allowed the Kings to kind of settle into a style of play that they are comfortable with. And the quite frankly, only style of play that they will be successful at in this entire series is if this one is slow and dragging. Out here, I used to host a combat sports show, and I would always say when it's a wrestler versus a striker, if the crowd's booing, that means the wrestler's doing his job. And if we're on here tweeting about how boring this game is, the LA Kings are doing their job. They are not here to entertain us. They are here to pick up wins, and that is what they did in the first part of this game. Now, it almost bit them because, again, Edmonton is, I still think, significantly better than the LA Kings are. But LA played the style of play that they're going to need to, and then they got the bounces in this game. And David also in the chat, 4.5 goals allowed per game by the Oilers ain't good. It has been some of the weirdest bounces. Like 2 of the goals went in off of Oilers in the first game because Edmonton just couldn't stop putting the puck in the net. At one point, they just had to put it into their own. And then you look at this one. The 4th goal tonight and the 5th goal, like that 5th goal, that's a really good shot. Maybe Skinner could stop that, but you have one of the best players in the world who has just a clear path and one other player in the offensive zone with him. Tough. The Fiala one, there was a bit of traffic there. I kind of thought maybe he should have had that one, but Fiala's got a good shot, and it seemed like it was knuckling, but that's one where you would kind of like the goalie to get in front of that one. But the first 3, Kopitar steal, it's a bad turnover, leads to a goal. The second one, it deflected thrice on its way. The initial pass gets deflected, and then it gets tipped up one more time, and Kempe just knocks that one into the goal. And it's two goals. And then the third one, Doughty is on a breakaway, which, first of all, secondly, he doesn't actually shoot it because Nuge comes back, lifts the stick, and the puck just slides on through. Now, again, you would like him to stop that because it literally wasn't a shot, but you're also not expecting the puck to just keep sliding in that way. So I don't put much of this on Skinner. And it does feel a little bit excuse making almost to just say, oh yeah, bounces, oh well, because you can only do that but so many times and then your season's over when it comes to the playoffs. And so I do think that is I'm not going to say a concern, but this one was still there for Edmonton. Even all of those bounces aside, you get a real good game from your bottom 6. I thought McDavid looked dangerous all night. Draisaitl had his moments. I find it difficult to put this one on anyone because of how weird it was, but at the same time, it was right there for you to take a 2-0 lead into Los Angeles, assert your dominance, and you don't have to worry about winning one game on their home ice. I still think the Oilers are going to be fine. And I still don't think that there needs to be a panic button pushed or anything like that. But this is a frustrating one. And make no mistake about it, this was an improved Kings team from game 1. I can talk about bad bounces. I can talk about weird plays and all of that. Quite frankly, the LA Kings also played better. And I joked in game 1 that it felt like Sportsnet had a contractual obligation to allow the Oilers to get 8 2-on-1s in game 1 because it was just on man rush, on man rush, on man rush, on man rush, on and on they go. And then this game, there was none of that. I thought the Kings were much more defensively responsible in this one and did a much better job of limiting those rush opportunities from the Oilers. Still got some, and this was still a wild game, so it's weird to credit a team for playing defensively sound in a game where they gave up 4, but they did play a little bit more responsibly, and they made the Oilers work a little bit more for what they were going to get on the offensive side of things. But still, I do think you come away from this one feeling all right about how the Oilers played, but still feeling a little disappointed at an opportunity that was missed. We talked about the sleepy play. I thought one line that did a good job of waking them up was that third line with Kane and with Perry. I thought that was those two specifically. I thought they did a good job of going out there, crash, bang, boom, getting some energy going, getting some life into the building, and getting some life into the team, and driving that team forward. And I thought every time this team needed a spark in this game, it was Kane and Perry out there creating all that havoc and getting things back a little bit into the Edmonton style of things. They were able to get down there, get some good zone time going, and start that ball rolling a little bit, where you get a shift in the offensive zone, then the big guys come out, and all of a sudden McDavid's flying around and he's looking dangerous the whole night, and on it goes. But just wasn't enough from Edmonton on this game. Still a bit to cover, and there was a few other players who stepped up in this game, including a really, really strong night for a player that I am so happy for, and we will get to that in just a second.
Game Over Ottawa is relaunching in October. So for all of your Ottawa Senators action, reaction, news, analysis, and fun, make sure that you click on the Game Over Network channel right now, open a new tab in this video, scroll past my ugly mug, and click on the Game Over Ottawa channel. Subscribe, and then hit that drop-down menu. Make sure you hit the alarm bell so that you get notified whenever we post a video or go live. Tell all your Sens fans, friends, and family to check out our awesome community, and make sure you smash the like button on this video right into oblivion.
So it wasn't just the third line that was getting going for the Oilers in this one. It was also the fourth line, and specifically Dylan Holloway. And I had said in the previous stream that if the Oilers were to make an adjustment, I could see them maybe changing things on that line, because you didn't really notice them a ton, but hoping that they wouldn't, because I do like Dylan Holloway as a player. And I was thinking about it a little bit, and I like, if someone said, well, what do you see in Dylan Holloway that makes you think he's going to be this like quality NHL player who's going to be able to provide a bit more of that offensive depth for the Oilers that they have been so desiring for years and years and years now? And Bieksa kind of summed it up on the broadcast tonight when he said he kind of just looks like he does everything well, right? And the shot that he had tonight was great. He skates fine. He has an understanding of the offensive zone, I think, really well. Defensively, he's all right. Like, he checks so many boxes that it should work. And tonight it did work. And I was so happy for that kid who has kind of been all over the place with this organization. And look, this is a tough time to come into this organization and have time to develop, because the clock is ticking. Marissa Tomei and my cousin Vinny, that clock is ticking, because you have two of the best players in the world, and you'd kind of like to take advantage of that by being able to put their names onto a big shiny thing. So there's pressure on this team to deliver right now. So we can't exactly just let you come out here and play 10 minutes a night and score 1 goal in 18 games. And I'm not saying that was a stretch he had. I'm just saying this is not an organization that can just, okay, well, we'll kind of ease you along and see what's happening. You kind of need to go now. And it's not fair, and it's not an awesome way to develop. And we've seen now a few where you thought it was going to come in, and then it's Puljujarvi, it's Yamamoto, it's whoever, and off they go. And I was worried that Holloway was going to be that, because I still think there's something there. And again, I watched this kid score 40 in the Alberta Junior Hockey League with the now of the BCHL Okotoks Oilers. And so I knew there was something there. And for him to get this kind of a game tonight, it's just the best, man, to see that. And you can see where this kid can impact these games going forward. That shot is a weapon, and his offensive zone sense can be a weapon and can really be something. And there are going to be nights where other teams are going to be able to at least limit McDavid a little bit, and Draisaitl maybe a little bit, in the playoffs anyway. And you're going to need your depth pieces to come up. And I thought in this game, that's another reason why this is so frustrating from an Edmonton standpoint. You got a good game out of your third line. You got a real good game out of your fourth line. And McDavid and Draisaitl still looked dangerous, I thought, in this one. And so it's just kind of a bit of a bummer that you aren't able to take advantage of it. And then once again, Zach Hyman has, talk about offensive sense. He knows where there's going to be openings. And the other one that I really wanted to highlight on that Hyman goal, which again, great read, great shot, great finish, perfect feed from Draisaitl, but Nuge in front, getting the shit kicked out of him with Waugh and Kopitar both in front. And that drew both defenders in, which created that room for Hyman to be able to go in and score. And like, when I think of Nuge, I don't think, oh yeah, huge net front presence. But he has played that spot so well and willing to take the punishment of just getting the hell kicked out of you. And that was one where, like, it's a tough spot for Kopitar because you do have to watch that pass in front, right? Like, if you leave that guy wide open alone to go cover dude in the slot, we're probably going to critique that a little bit. But also, the guy in the slot scored 54 goals this year, so maybe watch him as well. So it's a difficult spot, and it was a good setup, I thought, by the Oilers again, who, on that power play, I was even thinking, man, this is a little bit slower than normal, right? Like, one of the things you like about Edmonton and the skill players that they have is everything can go quick, and it's overwhelming. And so what the hell is going on? Oh my God, it's in the net. That wasn't this on this power play. It was a more measured approach, and everything all kind of shifted around so that all of the LA focus was on basically just half of the ice. And for the second game in a row, Edmonton was able to capitalize with a pass to the weak side, and Hyman is able to put it into the back of the net. So it was a great setup there, I thought, for Edmonton with the man advantage to get themselves back into this game. But every time you thought they were kind of creeping back into it, here come the Kings with a weird bounce. And now it is going to be up to Edmonton to kind of counterpunch a little bit, because we're talking about how good McDavid looked. We're talking about how good Draisaitl looked at times in this game. Third and fourth line, they contributed. The best line of the night was Kopitar, Kempe, and then whoever they had with him. On the lineup sheet, it was Byfield, but I don't think he played a ton with him in this game. But either way, those two were the ones who were really getting this thing going. And I don't envision LA scoring 5 many more times in this series. Although, as David pointed out in the chat, it's been 4.5 times so far this in the first 2 games. But that Kempe line with Kopitar is something that you do have to pay at least a little bit of attention to. And I thought, weird bounces aside, defensively, I didn't love Edmonton's game. They didn't play terribly, but there was a few times where, all right, it's going fine. Panic, there's a chance in front. And, oh, there's a bad turnover. Just a few of those little plays. But again, the overall summary of this game is, if you get off to even a half decent start, you probably come away with a victory in this one. And so that is going to be, I think, driven into these guys over the next couple of days as they get ready to head out to LA for a Wednesday night tilt with the Kings, is that they need to be ready right from the word go. Because that building, as much as we like to joke about Southern hockey fans, that building is going to be bumping. Eric Cartman's going to be screaming stuff. Will Ferrell's going to be there making you laugh while also being like, hey, that kind of felt insulting. And that place is going to be loud. And so you have to go out there and continue with the physicality, which was another, I thought, pretty good point in this game for Edmonton. Like, there's just, again, I feel like it's funny that the guy who does Game Over Calgary would be homerish on an Edmonton broadcast, but it does feel like I'm being a little homerish when I'm saying, like, I feel like if Edmonton, like, if we replayed that game with how both teams played, I feel like Edmonton wins it more often than not. So you don't have to go in there and blow up a bunch of lines and all of a sudden we need Connor Brown back in the lineup or anything like that. Keep playing that way. Make sure you're ready to go, because that was not a team prepared to start this game, and I think you'll be fine. So, a few adjustments that I'd like to see from this Edmonton team. We will get to that in a second after you see me talk with a different background. Game Over Calgary is relaunching in October. For all your Game Over Calgary content, make sure you subscribe to our Calgary-specific YouTube channel. Open the Game Over Network YouTube page in a new tab from this video, scroll past Andrew talking, and click on the Game Over Calgary channel in our featured channel section. Click subscribe and make sure you hit the drop-down menu to get notified when we post videos or go live. Tell all your Flames fan friends and family to check it out and join our awesome community. And make sure you smash the like button on this video right into oblivion. Oh, what a handsome fellow. All right, so in terms of looking ahead now to Game 3, what are we looking for from an Oilers standpoint? I think we've kind of driven home tonight. A better start is very important. You do not want to let the Kings get the ball rolling on their home ice, and then all of a sudden you're down 2-1, and there's questions about everything that you don't want there to be questions about. So a better start is absolutely important. Aside from that, I don't like lineup changes. I can't imagine that there would be any. I think Edmonton needs to get this back into a style of play that they are more comfortable with. Because even though I think Edmonton played well, they kind of played the Kings game most of the night. Edmonton is going to have to be, I think, a little bit more aggressive in the defensive zone in trying to break out and create some of those transition opportunities. Like Edmonton, or the Kings, sorry, right now have one line that's going. Couple guys that are going, right? Like it can't be Kopitar. Byfield has looked threatening at times. Fiala is always kind of dangerous. But other than that, this isn't a team that is going to win based on a prolific offense. So I think for Edmonton, maybe take a couple extra chances in the defensive zone to create some of those rush opportunities and start to turn this game into a bit of a track meet, because there weren't those turnovers in this game that allowed Edmonton to get those odd man rush opportunities that we saw so many of in game one that gets the defense back on their heels a little bit. They were able to kind of, again, to steal the basketball term, set up their half-court defense, allowed the game to come to them a little bit and do that. So I think Edmonton really needs to step up in that area and start to push the tempo of this one a little bit more. But I want to hear what you guys think. We'll do the presser here in a couple of minutes. Let me know in the chat what you thought of this game and what you would like to see the Oilers do differently coming up in game 3, because we're going to do the presser here in a matter of moments. On the Kings side, in terms of adjustments, I don't know how many there is going to be. Doughty had a significantly better game. Like, if we're being honest, maybe getting Pierre-Luc Dubois out of there isn't the worst thing, but I don't necessarily have a working knowledge of the center depth of the LA Kings. And he is still, like at this point, he's a third or fourth line guy. He's just paid like he's not, but he has been, I think, holding this team back. But that is another one on the Edmonton side of things. Couple dumb penalties in this, words. A couple dumb penalties in this game. Corey Perry trying to get like the Mario Kart mushroom boost off of PLD by pulling him back and shooting himself forward. A little shake and bake slingshot. That one bothered me so much. And it's a little thing, and it's Perry just kind of being a dick, but they called it, and you can't. Don't do that. Pierre-Luc Dubois does not need to be drawing penalties. And then McDavid takes a hooking call on him. Like, this is not a player who is having an impact on this game or series at all. And so the fact that he draws 2 hooking calls against you, just don't. You know, like, it's wildly oversimplistic. But just, like, you did, but don't. Because he's not worth it. You can just get past him. You can simply skate by him. You don't need to try to slingshot yourself off of him. Perry crashing into the goalie for a penalty. That was what it was. I thought it was funny. Like Corey Perry just full Madden hit sticks Talbot basically when he's driving into the net. Ref's arm goes up and DeBrusk on the broadcast, who I actually think is pretty good. DeBrusk on the broadcast goes, well, it might be Perry here. Like, you think? He just drove a bulldozer into the poor human. But I thought that was funny. And like there are going to be some penalties where, yeah, like it's 60 minutes and everyone's flying around at speeds faster than anyone's ever played the sport at before. So penalties are going to happen. But there was just a couple of them on the Edmonton side that I don't think really needed to happen. I think it's important that Skinner has a bit of a better game here in game 3, sorry. And as we've discussed previously here on the stream, I don't think much has been his fault so far. I would have liked the Fiala save because I know there was traffic, but I think he saw it all the way. And it was fluttering, but it was fluttering from far enough out that you could have got something in the way. And there was a couple times like he got beat on one. I forget who shot it, but they had him cold. I think it was on the power play, and the shot just zinged over his shoulder and hit the post. I think it was Byfield. He needs to have, I think, one of those better games where he comes out and just shuts the door early. Because this is, for all of my talk of Edmonton needs to get off to a better start, it's going to be difficult because this Kings team, it's going to have a bunch of energy and a real good jump in this one. So I think they're going to put Edmonton a bit on the back foot. Skinner's going to have to come up with a couple of big saves in game 3 to allow Edmonton to weather the storm and get into it. Kind of the antithesis of what happened with Casey DeSmith the other night, or what would happen for Vancouver, or what happened tonight with, again, not his fault, but turnover, pass, goal. Whoops. So I think Skinner needs to be a little bit better. We have Kathy in the chat chiming in with a couple of thoughts. I want more of your thoughts in the chat. The presser is coming up, but first a word letting you know where you can watch these streams starting next season.
Game Over Edmonton is broadcasting from the Game Over Network channel for the playoffs, but come 2024 in October, we're relaunching with our own channel. So for all of your Edmonton Oilers news, analysis, and fun, make sure you open the Game Over Network channel from this video, scroll past my ugly mug, and head on down to the Game Over Edmonton channel from our featured channels area. Click subscribe, and make sure you ring that reminder bell to make sure that you get notified whenever we post something or go live. Tell all your Oilers fan friends and family to come join our amazing community. You won't regret it. And on this video, smash that like button right into oblivion.
All right, it is now time for the presser. Get your thoughts in on the chat right now. Kathy D's or DZ or whatever. Kathy saying, could have gone either way. Keep doing the same thing and Oil will come out on top in the series. That I completely agree with. And again, like it's tough because you don't want to say, oh, well, you get them next time, because you can only say that 3 times, and then the 4th time to get them next time, your season's done, and it's a catastrophe. But you also don't want to overreact to one game. And, okay, well, we just lost, so McDavid to the 4th line, and let's see what Evander Kane and Corey Perry can do with 25 minutes a night. Like, you don't want to overreact to things. And as I said early on in the stream, I feel like if you played this game out again, Edmonton wins this one like 8 times out of 10. Edmonton was the better team in this game. The Kings dictated the pace early, got a couple bounces, quite a few bounces to go their way, and they ended up winning this game. So it sucks from an Edmonton standpoint because this was a chance to really take a hold of this series, and it's looking more and more, and you don't want to look ahead too much. You certainly can't look past this LA Kings team. At least they can't. But our job is to project here a little bit and to talk about things, so we can look past them just fine. You get, you take a 2-0 lead in this series and have a chance to take a stranglehold and maybe put this one away pretty quickly. And I think that gives you advantage going forward because it looks like Vancouver could be in for a rock fight against Nashville. With no Thatcher Demko, Nashville looks like they're going to muck it up. And all of a sudden, what looked like it could have been a bit of an easier series on the Vancouver side of things now looks like it could take them 6 or 7 to be able to get through. And that's going to be a little bit of a challenge. So this looked like from an Edmonton standpoint, because I feel like the last 48 hours or so, things have broken their way. And you don't want to celebrate anyone's injuries or anything like that. But Thatcher Demko going down, I don't think limits Vancouver's chances of beating Nashville. Limits their chances of beating Nashville quickly, but I still think Vancouver's a better team than Nashville. But that would mean they would play Edmonton in the next round, assuming this one goes well. And I think the Oilers do just horrendous things to the Canucks if Thatcher Demko is not in goal for Vancouver. So it felt like all of a sudden things have started to open up a little bit. And I do wonder if Edmonton started to look ahead at that, and that maybe got them off to the slower start here. So don't overreact to this. Come out, get the hammer back in this series, and start to take over again the way that you are capable of. Duck Oats, I'm assuming that's a government name, in the chat saying, I think whatever team comes out of this series wins the cup. Look, Edmonton has a very compelling case to win the cup. I would be surprised if LA did, but they do have a team that can be built for this, right? As you saw, like they have Dano, I think he came back, right? That they have that Dano Arvidsson Moore line that is miserable to play against. And they have enough guys who can score and enough guys who can muck it up in the blue line. I worry greatly about Cam Talbot for 4 rounds. That would be my only counter to that. But yeah, I did a segment on radio out here in Calgary about how, like, classic, no one's taking the Kings seriously. Are we sleeping on the Kings? Are they peaking at the right time? But this is a team that's played some really good hockey down the stretch. So I would push back on the LA part a little bit, but if in a couple of months, if LA happens to get past this series and we're watching the Kings against the Rangers in the Stanley Cup final, then I don't know if I'm utterly surprised, right? Like this is a good hockey team that the Oilers are facing. So Duck Oats, I could see that potentially coming through, but there is a team out in the desert in Vegas right now that may have something to say about that, because they are rolling against the Dallas Stars, and even that Colorado Winnipeg series is nuts. But the thought, I guess, would be that, well, Vegas doesn't seem to be getting a ton of resistance from Dallas right now, going up 2-0, heading back to Vegas. Whoever comes out of that side of the bracket is going to have worked through that side of the bracket. So they're going to be not exactly coming into any type of a series against the Pacific winner with everything still intact. So that certainly would give you a bit more optimism on the Edmonton side of things. All right, that is going to put a bow on this one today. Once again, my name is Peter Klein. Thank you all so much for staying up late with us tonight. The next time that we are doing Game Over Edmonton is, funny enough, after the next Edmonton game, as these two teams face off against each other Friday night. It is an ungodly start time at 8:30 p.m. Mountain Time, which probably means about 8:45 the way they've been going. Which, if I could just say, as someone who has to come on after that game and talk about it, if they wanted to do the fun intro stuff at like 8:20, that would be great, because this whole, well, the game's going to start at 8, but that just means we have to do the establishing shot of the goalie being bent over down in the hallway, getting ready to come out for the intros, and then we do the intros, and then we do all the anthems, and you have to do both anthems. We could start that like 8:15, and like kind of F1 European soccer this thing up, and have the game actually start at 8:30. That would be sweet. But either way, rambling aside, once that game is done, I'll be back here hanging out with you guys, talking about the Oilers, hopefully coming up with a 2-1 series lead over the Nashville Predators. Y'all have been great. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you like this video, make sure you subscribe to this channel, and make sure you find the Game Over Edmonton channel to subscribe to, so you're ready to get all this great Oilers content coming at you next season. Have a wonderful night, everyone, and I will talk to all of you later.